Stop letting people trick you into believing that you're not vulnerable or that you're not willing to tell the story. Because some people are comfortable seeing you where they want to see you. They
Right.
saw so I always love that you can make millions in corporate, you can help them lose millions, you understand. Like, I just was privy to a lot of things. I really built a name for myself and a title and a salary and just all of those things, but I knew that I wanted to continuously help more businesses. And I don't wanna hop from company to company just to come in there and do the same thing. I just wanna come in as a consultant, and I wanna do it. And so I tested on the side for years. To be honest, I think it was 10 years that I had the name as a DBA before I actually turned it into its own S corporation and all of those things. But in 2022, an opportunity presented itself. And I was just at a place in life where I'm like, God, is something that I want more. I feel empty. I I don't know what that more is. And I knew what it was, but I was like, nah, I don't know.
Yeah, maybe
And
that's
like
not
I said, opportunity presented itself and someone said, "Why are you not consulting?" And that's when I wrote Faith is the Formula. I said, that's why God gave that to me. Because faith, the mustard seed faith, if you don't believe in why you stepped out to do something in the beginning, you're never going to be
you
successful.
want to be successful. But you are a successful founder and CEO, successful mother of two, a wife. Tell me about it. What was your journey to starting this company, and what is it about? What do
Yeah.
you do? What is the love for it? What drives you in it?
Oh my gosh, I love everything about business. And when you grow up, everyone wants to be a doctor, a lawyer, a this and that, right? And so my older sister, tells the story all the time. Like, we didn't know what I really wanted to be. It just was like a bunch of papers telling people what to do, stapling this, doing that. And I was like, yeah, I was just that business girl. But so I always, to just back it up for a second, my first job when I was 11 years old was helping a guy at the local grocery store across the street from my house. He had a little grocery store and he was a business owner. He taught me how he did business and he took me with him to buy some of the things. And when we would get rush, that would come in, and he would get frustrated with the guy that he had hired, which I probably now believe that he may have been related to him. I'm not sure, but he was a little slow, you could tell. And it was just so tough, to like, get these orders out at lunchtime. And so I started telling him, well, what if we just made some of the sandwiches, like, beforehand? So we just get there in the morning, we start prepping sandwiches. That's what I do. And so when it was lunchtime, unless someone ordered something specific, you can just get the packaged sandwiches that they were buying, right? And I would help him run his business. It was fun. I would make my money, so on and so forth. Then I decided to open a candy store. And so, my mom was like, we had Tye Sweet Treats. And so we opened the candy store, we would sell after school. And then I would go to school and take orders and I'd sell and I'd make my money. I can get a little bit of money from it. I'll go buy myself some shoes, whatever. Well, my first job at a dance store, I did ballet, and my mom was just like, are you guys hiring, and what's the discount? Because she's like, I can't afford this. And he's like, 25%. So she's like, you need to apply. She helps me do a resume, tell me what to say. I get this job. So it's like my first W-2 job. And I'm working downtown at the dance apparel store. I'm learning not just how to sell or fit people for shoes, but how to buy inventory and how to mark it up when it gets there. And all of these things I'm sharing because it plays a role. And so now fast forward, I'm a teen mom and I have to work. So as I'm working, I'm in retail. I always progress to the top no matter where I go. Remember the little girl at 11 years old that taught the guy at the grocery store, let's prepackage these things and make it easier for us to sell these things. And then now I know how to mark up inventory and buy it wholesale. So I'm going to get my candy store and we're going to do these things. And then now I know how to do these dance things. And so now I'm working. And they were just like, how old are you? I'm like, 17. And they're like, so you're not even old enough to be a key holder yet. You got to be 18 years old. So they were waiting for me to become old enough to take on a leadership role. Then I ended up at one of the large stores in downtown. And so I say all that to say my journey in corporate began. And everywhere I went, I was always in leadership roles and I was always learning everything about the business because I love the business and it's not much that you can teach me. It's like I innately know it. I just feel like I'm where I'm supposed to be. And I constantly promoted. I learned that, okay, you got to go to school. Like I had started doing junior college. And then, of course, you take a break because I'm a mom and I have to work and I have to do these things. And so when I came back to Texas after I had been actually I had went to school for medical assisting for a while because I just needed a consistent job. I like nothing about the medical field, but whatever. I get back to my love when I'm in Texas. And, I just continued to grow in companies all the way up to senior leadership role. No matter where I went, my claim to fame and my signature, Ty can come in there. I'm very good at communicating. I understand business. I know what is needed. I'm at the forefront of a problem. I can see what's going to happen and what we need to build. And I just always had a way of communicating that and bringing people together. And it just earned me the right to just start standing up parts of different businesses and Fortune 100 companies. I've always worked for large organizations. And so I finished school the entire time while I was there, but I had the best OJT in the world. 22 years in corporate. And even in doing that, I was always practicing on the side. I was like, I love solving business challenges. I learned that that's a consultant. If my mom was a very innovative person, and she may have been doing it to try and come up with a quick dollar, but she's like, "We're gonna make a cleaning company so we can do this. We're gonna do this. We're gonna" all these ideas that she had. "We're gonna braid hair. We're gonna like, we're gonna do all this stuff."
Yeah.
And I'm like, "We need a flyer. We need the prices. We need to make sure like," and this was me. I was on the back end of everything. What is the process, the system? How do we run the business? We need to be doing these. Like
Yeah. The
I was that
marketing, the
person.
strategies. Yeah.
Absolutely. What's the
Yeah.
strategy? How are we gonna get there? We need to that was always me. If whoever in passing was talking about something like, "Oh, you probably need to do this, and this." And then I started learning that I knew what I was talking about. And so I had Write the Vision Consulting Group on the side for a while. Now I also had a ballet company that I ran, which I won't, talk about that, but I said that when I exited that company, I said the next time that I start my own business, I want to know that I know that I know and have what it takes. So I always love that you can make millions in corporate, you can help them lose millions. You understand. Like I just was privy to a lot of things. I really built a name for myself and a title and a salary and just all of those things. But I knew that I wanted to continuously help more businesses. And I don't want to hop from company to company just to come in there and do the same thing. I just want to come in as a consultant and I want to do it. And so I tested on the side for years. To be honest, I think it was 10 years that I had the name as a DBA before I actually turned it into its own S corporation and all of those things. But in 2022, an opportunity presented itself. And I was just at a place in life where I'm like, God, is something that I want more. I feel empty. I I don't know what that more is. And I knew what it was, but I was like, nah, I don't know.
Yeah. Maybe that's
And like
not
I
it.
said, an opportunity presented itself, and someone said, "Why are you not consulting? Why are you out here looking?" Because I was like, well, maybe I just need to change companies and maybe go to a smaller company and just help them. And it was in that interview that they had me interview with the consulting team. And she's like, why are you not doing this? And that was what I needed to hear in that conversation to really reconnect. And long story short, in September of 2022, I launched for the first time officially, like a real business, not a DBA, Write the Vision Consulting Group. And we help businesses through strategy. Execution is our secret sauce. I always say that we're not just good at telling you what direction you need to go, we're really good at doing the work of the work. I always say that we have battle tested CEOs. We're not just a consulting company with people that have um, knowledge from helping other businesses. We've actually been in the fire in businesses, and we've just chose to self-retire and do this full time. And I have a sweet spot in technology implementations, right? So I'm always like, that's why when technology fail when I'm on the phone, I'm like, I promise, like, I'm much better at this. But I not only built a company for myself, and so why did I start it? Because I loved business and I was always training to get to a bold point of doing business the way I wanted to. I know in order to help multiple businesses, I had to become a business to do that. Otherwise, I'd be hopping around for years doing that. And
Mhm.
then I also wanted to give opportunities to other people. And so I started building a consulting team of other, I call them corporate escapees. They're like, tell me what you did and how you did it. Can I work for you? And I'm like, yeah, like let's go ahead and build that. And so it'll be 3 years this year, but not only have I set up a business that has helped, replace my salary and take care of me and some, but that can provide a lifestyle for other people that are looking to do the same thing for themselves. I don't just focus on the larger businesses, but I also have a specialty in helping smaller businesses. And how do you play big? Right. You can be a one man show, but how do you play big? And just, even I'm very passionate about giving back to the next generation of the workforce as well. And so I even built a cohort last year. And I had our first cohort in our business of interns from 8 interns from 6 different universities, all got college credit, real hands-on experience, real tangible things that they can talk about in their, for their experiences with their jobs. We built their resumes out to reflect it, their LinkedIn's. Like, when I tell you, they're just like, "Oh my god, this is the best internship I've ever did." I just took everything I've ever did in corporate, and I just decided to start building a company, not just for myself, but a company that can help others. And I don't know how long, right? Because I said I always wanted to self-retire and build my consulting firm and focus on public speaking. And I dived right in and I started doing both. And does it get scary? Yes. Did I start with doing it afraid? And I kind of maybe had my eyes like this while I was like going? Absolutely. But then I just, got to a point maybe within this year that I'm just like, you know what? I I'm living life with purpose on purpose and just being unapologetic about it and not being afraid. So,
Yeah,
I feel like I
it's
need
funny
my
that you
charger.
said that. Like,
Uh-oh.
you're working for a company
Yeah,
and you get that fearful feeling of, okay, well, if I step outside and start my own company, am I going to fail? Am I going to
yeah,
succeed? Where's the money going to come from? So,
yeah,
how do you use your story to inspire others that are going through the same thing? Or, they really know that they have this passion for business or starting something and they're
yeah.
fearful. They don't know if they're going to fail. They don't know where the money's going to come from to pay the mortgage, the rent, the
Oh,
bills, take care of
this
their
is so
family.
true.
How do you explain to them how you did it to balance your family, your children, and build such
Yeah.
a successful company?
Okay. So how do I explain to people that are looking at chasing after their dream? So, just do it.
Just do
There
it. Nike.
just Nike, just do it. There's no time better than the present one, right? And
Mhm.
you have to, believe in the vision, right? And it looks different for everyone, right? So I was able to full-time step into business. I secured a subcontract that was 3 times my salary in corporate, and I didn't have a small salary. And so for me, I was like, "All right, this is 5 months." And I was like, with a possible extension. And so, I was just like, "You know what? In 5 months, if it doesn't work, you can go back." You also can use that principle of, like, saving and all those things, to make sure that things are in order. I also had our family, my husband worked, we had a pretty good, savings and things or whatever, right? All the boxes checked that said, "This was the right risk," right? When is another opportunity gonna come? So you can transition off of one job right into your own business and just kinda, whatever. But remember, the thing that, makes you step out on faith is never the thing that sustains you, right? So
Right,
people are
right.
like, "Oh my god, I am aware, one of my friends, close friends told me that if this is what stress looks like, you wear it very well. And I'm just like, I don't think I put on a front, but, I just think for anyone that wants to do it, I feel like just do it. You can create a plan, you can, do whatever that gets you to step out, but just know that what it took to start is not what it takes to sustain you. So I'm always say be committed to, the end result and not how things happen in the middle. And so, that middle part may be, you know, I told my one sister that she wants to go full time. I said, hey, she's a teacher. She's choosing to go full time in her business. Can you secure a substitute job? She says, yeah. So she got a substitute job. She got hired for it. Great. When you doubt, when you need something extra, that's your provision right there. But in the meantime, it's like stay committed to what you're building, but have something. And maybe her situation wasn't exactly, like mine, but for me, it was not easy. It still is not easy, but it's doable. And I think that when you're clear on what you're doing and why you're doing it, and you truly believe in the only difference between whoever you're talking to, myself and the millionaire that built a successful business, is that they didn't stop. And I think too often we throw in the towel when the going gets tough. And we think that giving up is the answer versus being open to, how things should probably just adjust, right? And so sometimes we dig our heels so deep into like, oh, it has to be done this way. No, it doesn't. And so I think being open to that part, um, and just moving forward, every business has to evolve. Um, and so for me, that's what I, you know, tell people. My journey, like I say, I get on a call every day with a smile on my face. I wake up every single day at the same time, dressed in my, and in my office working the same way, whether I have a client or no clients. Consistency. See
Consistency.
yourself where you want to be until you get there. There's gonna be ebbs and flows in business at all times. And I think resilience and the things that I've been through in life, I didn't get anywhere by giving up. And every time that the going got tough, like, even in my journey, even when I talk about, sharing that example of when I was in Texas, right? Even when the going got tough, I'm gonna cry out to God. What am I supposed to be doing? Am I gonna just,
That's it.
tell me? And he would give me an inkling of something. And so I actually wrote a book and it's called Faith is the Formula. And I was on a flight, my first, as soon as I left corporate, I had already had a contract signed. And the lady that I signed it with was like, "Hey, I know this is short notice. Can you come to Nashville?" She was like, "It's gonna be a conference there, like, do you speak? Do you whatever?" And I'm like, "Yeah." So I'm like, "You're in this, right?" And so as I'm on the plane ride, I'm just sitting there. I'm feeling great. I can't believe this. Like, I just transitioned. I got this in order, just feeling good. And I remember I write in my notes a lot. I wrote, faith is the formula. Don't know what it meant at all. I had no clue that that was going to be a book that I wrote. I think I fought everybody in my life that said that I was going to write books because I'm like, I'm a speaker. I don't have time to be writing. I'm a reader. I don't have time to be writing. Right. And people would say, "Oh my gosh, like you're just, what does it take? But what did you do? What did you do?" And they keep wanting something. You want the number that was in my bank account. You want the team that I had. You want like, what did you do? Because I need to know so that I can do that so that I can get to this point.
Hey, I hope you're enjoying this video. Please don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. Thank you.
And that's when I wrote Faith is the Formula. I said, that's why God gave that to me because faith, the mustard seed faith, if you don't believe in why you stepped out to do something in the beginning, you're never going to be successful. That is the formula. It's the faith. It's not, and faith doesn't say, I'm going to do this, I'm going to do this, I'm going to do this, I'm going to do this. Faith says, I'm going to be free. I'm going to work for myself. I'm going to do this. I'm going to create opportunities for other people. And that's my vision. That's my belief. That's what I believe I'm called to do. And I know that I have a lot of things that's inside of me that can help, do those things, but I might not know the exact pathway of how. And it's not my job to know the how. It's just my job to say yes and to keep the vision and to keep the hope and to be open mind and flexible to how that works. And so you will always find yourself back at the drawing board. You should never be the smartest person in the room. And failure is quitting, not pivoting. Pivoting is not failure. And people mistake those two things, for that. That's not what it is. Can we come up with the wrong business idea or do something when absolutely, yes, we can. We can learn things. Am I that type of person that's going to say, "Oh, I only want to work for myself and I'm just team entrepreneur"? Absolutely not. I'm looking for the steady eddies that want to stay in the business and keep it running too.
Right.
That's not everybody's calling, right? Can I create a culture that makes them want to work there? But it's not for everyone, but for every person that it's for, it's gonna take the same thing, and it's not about the amount of money that's in your bank account. It is about the level of resilience that you can have, how much you're willing to learn, and how committed you are to seeing the outcome. And that's the truth, and so I always say, "Stop picking me apart for that number, like, I don't have it."
Because even if you have that number, it may
It's
not
not
work for you. So
absolutely.
it's faith, being a sponge,
Mhm. Resilience,
resilience,
humility.
humility,
Mhm. And
consistency.
absolutely.
And I think people need to understand this because sometimes, we see these big business owners and you want it all. And some people say stay the course. Staying the course doesn't mean
Yeah,
that you can't take another route or you have to go back to the drawing board because you will have to go back to
absolutely.
that drawing board many
Multiple
times
times. Oh my
to
gosh.
replan,
Yeah,
add new things, take away things,
yeah,
call different people, look for
yeah,
advice. You are not the smartest person. There's always more to
absolutely.
learn. And just being consistent in yourself and consistent in your faith to know that regardless of what may happen, what may not happen, you believe
Yeah,
that it's going to happen. So I agree with you on
yeah,
all those things that we need. It's not even about the money because you could have the money and that business still fall apart. If
absolutely.
it's for
And it
you,
won't be profitable.
right? And if it's for you, it will succeed. And you have to really
Absolutely.
analyze, go back to the board. Is this the right business for me,
Yeah,
or am I just doing it for the money?
absolutely. I was gonna say, what are you doing it for?
Right?
And I think that when you're doing something for a greater purpose than just you, I'm not even just doing it for my children. Now, I do believe that I will be the bank, where I'm
Yeah.
like, I will be the investor for anyone that could come with the plan, for them to be able to do it to help them get started. But, you know, I don't do it for me. I do it for the man or the woman or whoever it is that says, I've always wanted to run a business. I always wanted to have the freedom to do this, but I'm not the CEO of this. I mean, I'm not that. I would love to come and work for you on my own terms, where maybe I only take 3 or 4 assignments a year. And then I travel the rest of the year. I love what it is that I do, but I don't want to only be able to do it this way. Or to the person that, you know, wanted a non-toxic company culture. Um, I don't just do it for me. And to the business owners that are tired of being, I don't want to say cheated out of, anyway, just like, I don't just do it for me. I'm always doing it for something bigger. And I always feel like if I could show someone that you can do it, I will do it. When I tell people when they're like, "Oh, well, I said I'm gonna make $1 million and I'm on my way, and you wanna know why I'm gonna do it? Because I can. Because I can, and I want everyone else to know that anytime you want to, you can. Am I gonna pocket $1 million and take it home? Absolutely not. I don't want that tax trouble, okay? I got enough troubles of my own, okay?
that's
There's
another
levels
that's
to this.
another devil that you don't want.
Absolutely. More money, more problems, more taxes, right? But to be able to create that and sow into other places, it's like because I can. And if my faith is big enough to do it, to be the mustard seed for somebody else, I'm willing to do it. Yeah.
You have a concept, um, own the pen. Can you explain that concept? Elaborate on it a little bit more for us.
It's kinda like the, you are the writer of your story.
Yeah.
Um, and I think that that's true, that we get a chance to say what outcomes we have in life. Um, and I don't think I've truly ever looked at it that way. I think I've just been so, busy bulldozing through life, refusing to be that, right? And it's like one of those things of retelling myself stories and narratives too, right? So for instance, I've always been very smart and I love school. I love learning. Was very good student, straight A student. Um, and when I got pregnant, one of the teachers said to me, he's like, "Oh, come here. You were such a smart. You were so smart." And he was the gospel choir director too. You were
Oh
so
no.
he was like, "But now, you know, you're not gonna be anything."
Hmm.
And that hurt, at
Yeah.
16 years old, but I remember walking away like, "Do am I supposed to become dumber?" Like, I was just like, "I'm gonna," and so it was one of those things where you don't get to define, what I am. I'm gonna work harder, but not
Mhm.
because I'm trying to prove someone wrong, but because I have a life that I'm responsible for. That's kinda how I lived. I've always lived in my own bubble that I'm gonna do what I feel is right and what I want to do, but maybe I was consciously doing it because I'm like, I have another life that I'm responsible for and that I have to look up to. But kid you not, when I was 30 years old, I remember having a moment where maybe I was like 31 or something. I was finishing my master's degree and clearly could have had a doctor's degree because not only did I have my master's degree, but I had two designations that took me 18 months each to do and some licenses, like investment licenses. And I'm like, girl, at what point are you going to just be proud of yourself and celebrate yourself for who you are? And I was just like, "But I need to be doing this, I need to be doing this, I'm behind, I'm behind, I'm behind." And I had that moment where I'm like, "You're not a product of your circumstances.
Or what
You're
your
not
teacher
what
said.
people." Yeah, you're not what people said that you are. You're not that failure that every person said to you, like in the churches and your schools. You're not that person. You have changed the narrative 10 times over. You stand proud in yourself and you make sure that anything you do from this moment on, that you're doing it for yourself, not because you feel that you're behind or that you have to prove something to some. You don't have to prove anything to anyone. And so for me, I was like, gosh, like that lifted such a weight off of me that imagine just walking around carrying stuff. And I'm like, it takes the joy out of doing what I love most. Right. And, like for me, I'm like, you always was just like excited that you can do something and I'm going to go do it because I feel this. But imagine doing it with something in the back of your mind that that you don't even know is there.
Right.
And so for me, I'm like, no, not only do I get a chance to protect the things that are spoken to me and choose to walk in my calling and not the insecurities of other people, but I'm the first voice that's willing to speak up and remind somebody else of who they are when someone else is trying to write their narrative. You're not that person. You're not a product of your circumstances. This is a point in time in your life. You have, accomplished great things. And so for me, it's like you've done all of these things because you wanted to. Don't wear that pressure of what somebody else want you to be. Be free and walk in your purpose in your own right. And that is why I'm such a believer and such a protector of like my siblings when I'm like, don't you dare say success is a degree or an income level or it's quantified by your bank. That is not success. I don't even teach my children that. My sister asked me one time, well, what happens if your kids say that they wouldn't want to go to school? You'd have a problem with that. That I would not.
No.
If they chose that was not for them at this time, success looks so many different ways, but success is freedom, mental freedom,
Mental freedom.
spiritual freedom. That's the first thing. If we can just live a life successful there and doing the things that you love, follow your interest and you'll find your calling and you'll find your purpose, right? And so, yes, we have to be responsible and take care of ourselves too. And so, no, I'm not saying become a starving artist, like, but I mean, unless the Lord calls you to do that. But can you do both? It's like,
Yeah.
what two things can you do, right? Or what can free up that right to do those things? But I am very much aware that I don't let people speak into my life or actually I've learned that I started giving grace and deliverance in the moment to those people that are speaking those things because it's coming from a place of insecurity for them. And so what things have you bound that no one let you become free in? And how can I
Right.
take a moment of helping you free yourself? Who told you you weren't enough? That now you're speaking to me saying that I am not enough. And so for me, the healing moments that you get just in giving that freedom back to them. And I'm just like, this isn't even about me, right? It's
Yeah,
like,
it's not about you. Yeah.
this is about, like them. And so I just want to stay in that freedom. Like, I just want to stay in that. I got enough to
I,
worry about.
I was gonna ask you how do you encourage others, but your concept that you use own owning the pen,
Yeah.
owning who you're gonna become, and not letting your situation, how people, throw their opinions on you, determine who you're gonna become and what you're going to do in life. So I really love that concept and I stand by it too, because I think people have this thing in their mind that no, God wouldn't let that happen to you. God just left you there. You're pregnant. You did that. You went to prison. God's gonna leave you there. You're not. You're not. You're a
Yeah.
dead plant. When they don't
Yeah.
even realize God planted me there. God gave me that baby. That was a birthing.
Yeah.
That
Oh
was
my
a
God.
birthing, not just me giving birth, but
Yeah.
me. I was birthing. I was being renewed.
Amen.
I
It's
was a
so
seed
true.
planting the ground that God is watering with all these situations. All these situations that I'm going through is water. It's
Yeah.
fertilizer. But you just can't see that because you don't understand it. I've been
Yeah.
seeing this thing has been going on forever saying, God gave me the vision.
Hmm.
I see what's next. You're not going to see it because he didn't give it to you. So while
Yeah.
they're judging,
Yeah.
I'm just paying attention, tunnel vision.
Yeah. And sometimes you do. That's that quieting that noise, right? Um, I always have this thing that you just have to be willing to always be honest with yourself. I had this conversation with someone today that I'm like, you know what? I just have this thing that if I cannot look myself in the mirror and say, I'm hurt, I'm broken, I feel
Mhm.
like this, like I need to be able to have that level of vulnerability with myself and just acknowledging where I am so that I can get past it. We should always be able to tell ourselves the truth. And so for me, when I was a teen mom, I remember I was I was upset for a while, like, at the things that people, like, kinda said in the beginning and, just from my mom, just it was just a lot of everything. And I remember one day I was in the room and I was listening to, this, church song, and it was, "Don't be discouraged, joy comes in the morning." And I've heard it several times, I've sang it several times, but in that moment, I remember the spirit I just heard, God say, like, joy comes in the morning, your morning period. When you feel your lowest and your mourning, which I was very sad, 16 years old. Life is about to change. Belly is just growing. Like it's just like, what am I doing? And he says, joy comes in the morning. And while I am the only person that gives life and have the ability to do that, you still can acknowledge where you were wrong. I grew up in church. I used to go to church by myself at 7, 8 years old, get on the bus at 11 and 12 and I was always seeking God, and God is like, I still have a responsibility. Like, there can be multiple things that happen at one time. Yes, He can give life, but you still have to be responsible for some of your decisions and things that you do, and I want you to be serious about me. And I remember getting on my knees and repenting. And I don't think I shared that with anybody except my daughter. I said, I remember getting on my knees pregnant and just repenting and crying out to God. And, I know that there were things that I was responsible for that I could have chosen to do better. And that was my responsibility.
Yeah.
And maybe that's not everybody's story because someone, could have had a child out of rape or, different
Right.
things like that. But in my case, there was some choices that I could have done better. And I just wanted to, in that moment, be right with God because I'm just like, God, I own my part, but I also understand that you still own this path. And that while it may be necessary, who do I need to become in order to be the person that this child needs? I now understand that it's not just about me and the consequences or the choices that I make, but the life that I'm responsible for. And I just that I needed that moment, right? And so, people may see me walking different, but you don't see that I'm on my knees like in the
Right.
room, just hearing, trying to hear him there. And so for me, I'm always willing to have that vulnerable moment of honesty with myself. I'm not in the place or the business of always defending, like I believe that more than one thing can be true at one time. And, so for me, the more we know of ourselves and the awareness that we have, some people want it to be other people's problems. Some
Mm.
people want to have the victim mentality, and it takes more energy to do that than it does to just surrender.
Surrender.
And so I just think that for anybody that is wondering where to start, surrender. What things are you holding on to or defending or bottling up or saying, but so and so did this or but this, like there's a lot of but this. But what part can we own? We can own forgiveness. Forgiveness is for you. It's not for the other person. And the more we hold on to and we put our energy there, the less we can give energy to the things that's intended to give life.
Yeah.
And so, I just think for me, like, just constantly being self-aware. No, I'm not always in the Bible. Like, people are like, "Well, it was in the Bible scripture that you're reading." No, I read self-help books. Like, I'm a big, like, emotional intelligence person. I just need to understand, right? Like, even when you mentioned your birthplace, birth orders, like, sometimes, like, why do we behave or show up certain
Right.
ways,
Right.
right?
Right.
Um, just that commitment to self, like, that is where people grow. It doesn't always have to be, some religious thing. I'm absolutely not religious by any stretch of the imagination. I have a relationship with God. And in that relationship, it teaches me to give grace to other people, and so and teaching us to love ourselves and to be aware of when not loving ourselves cause us to show up in different ways or talk to ourselves certain ways, right? So I just think that's just a key part, you know.
That ties into owning the pen, is owning our actions, owning where we could have done better.
Yeah.
And don't feel bad about it. We're human. We're
Yeah.
learning consistently, by the second, by the minute. The words that come out of our mouth, sometimes we're like, "Ooh, was that right or was that wrong? Should I have said that? I need to call my friend, to calm my mind, to apologize," because, and we might be strong and wrong sometimes, but it's still
Yeah.
owning the fact that in that moment we were strong and wrong. Now go back. Now go back and go deal with it, right? And that
Yeah.
goes to practicing self empowerment. How do you practice self empowerment, and what routines do you incorporate in your day to keep you flowing?
How do I don't this is good questions. Have I ever thought about this? How do I practice self-empowerment? Um, I mean, I guess there is an affirmation effect to that, right? So let's first of all, I can do what I want, when I want, how I want. The only person that can stop me is God. And if it's not in his will, he will redirect my path, right? But I'm not going to sit here paralyzed in fear and a what if when I could simply get up and try it. What if it doesn't work? Then you know what? Then I'll go and do something else, right? So that's one thing. I'm not going to stay paralyzed in fear because I've never accomplished anything great from fear. Well, sitting in fear. I have done it fearful.
Fearful. Yes, yes, yes.
Not sitting in fear. So that's the first part is I have the freedom to do whatever it is that I choose to, right? And if I know that I have a mindset that of abundance and openness and just optimism, right? That the things that come to my mind sometimes when it comes, is it aligned with who I am and the reason and my why, right? And when I say that, just because I can, you know, build a business like this. And if I hear my friends saying, "Hey, I'm thinking about opening a dry cleaner," and I'm like, "Oh, you know what? I'm pretty good at business. I think I'm gonna go open one before them." Is that my calling or my will? Like, no, So for me,
No.
I'm always like, stay within your lane and do what you're supposed to do. As long as you're not competing with other people, do it. Just do it, right? And so for if I understand why I'm doing something and I'm very aligned with who I am and I'm in my lane and I know when I hear those thoughts that are stretch thoughts, because nothing ever comes to my mind that's like, oh, I'm pretty sure I could do it. Like Or you did that before, like, no, like, now if a thought comes to my mind that I should go to Amazon and order something, I'm just like, no, I do like to shop, right? It's just like, okay. But if it's like, you know what? You're going to put on a conference. And I'm like, a whole conference? And it's like, ooh, why would I do that? And it's like, because you're going to empower people to blah, 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 blah. And I'm like, ooh, this sounds good. It aligns with who I am, but that is so scary. I don't think I can do it. And then it's just like, you know what? I'm going to do it because you do hard stuff.
Right.
You didn't make it to where you are in life, by playing it safe. You have done this, you have done that, you have done this. And when you ran into walls, I've seen you come out of it by this, and this. And so for me, it's like empowerment to myself is like, I can do what I want, when I want, how I want, as long as it's in his will. And as long as I'm sensitive enough to not be plowing through walls that are really intended to be like indicators of like, girl, you shouldn't have been doing this to begin with, then it's like, I'm fine. And when I hear things that stretch me and I'm not sure if I should be seeking it, then it's like, retell yourself the things you have been through. Retell yourself the story of times you have overcome things that you just didn't know was going to work out, and then move forward. Right. And so for me, um, I am, or if you have a very good support system and echo chamber, go tell them what you're not going to do and watch them start reminding you what you can do.
Can do. That's a
They'll be
good
like,
twist. I like that. I like that twist.
yes, it's like, I was thinking about doing this, but I'm not gonna do it because, I'm this. And they're like, are you kidding me? You were the person that told me this. And as
Mhm.
you're being built back up, you're like, yes, I have done hard things. And the things in life that's intended to be done doesn't always have a clear path, but it has a clear purpose. And so just start moving through it, or just doing it. But I just feel like no one should sit there not living out their dreams because of limitations that
Mhm.
they've created in their mind. And I say all that to say, I have not taken out one loan in business
Hey, I hope you're enjoying this video. Please don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. Thank you.
yet. I have not. I don't even qualify for funding. So I'm not a nonprofit that's like, oh, I raised some money. I don't. But I say all that to say there have been times where it might have been my money, it might have been repurposed money from clients or different things like that. It may have been disciplined savings, and it also may have been humble moments of like, hey, I'm going to accomplish this, but I need to create a strategic partnership. I need to partner with someone that does this. God, who is that person? Because not all partners are the right person, right?
Right.
And who is that person, right? And just getting creative with knowing that you might carry the vision and the way to do these things, but sometimes I got to open my mouth and say it to other people, and that's how things come. And so everything did not come from a dollar amount from me. It may have come from a strategic partnership, in some way. And so there's a lot of excuses, or thoughts that people have. Like, I don't even think I have fully shared my entrepreneur story yet, and I mean, I will get to that point one day. I'm still writing the chapter, but there's a lot of assumptions where they're like, "Oh, where you're able to do that because you have a husband or you have
Right.
2 incomes," or
Mhm.
you know what? What took us to say yes is not what sustained us. As soon as we said yes and I was in my contract and working and the new year came in 2023, my husband was laid off.
See where that faith has to come in now?
Yeah, and then remember the 5-month contract? Month 5 had to hit.
Shit. Then what's next?
Yeah, so it's like there's a lot of assumptions that people have, but it's just like, and I don't think that I paint them for them. I learned from a Facebook post I put when I was 40 years old. God spoke to me. It was a picture of me and my children, outside of where we had brunch at. And I said, "Oh my gosh." I said, "At 40 years old, I get a chance to stand next to my 16-year-old and my 23-year-old. Both of them were ages when I had one or the other. I was 16 when I became a parent for the first time. I was 23, and here it is 40, and I'm given this revelation. Oh, it was a nice little long post. It wasn't too long, but it was enough to read. People were like, "Happy birthday, Ty. your children are so beautiful, blah, blah, blah. Like they just totally missed the whole mark. Everybody was just like all these things. And maybe two people tuned in and said, "You've always been such a blah, blah, blah," like something like, on point with what I said.
Mhm.
And God said to me, "Stop letting people trick you into believing that you're not vulnerable or that you're not willing to tell the story. Because some people are comfortable seeing you where they want to see you. They
Right.
saw that picture and that first line, that you couldn't miss it. It was like at 40 years old, at 16, the first line that you could see told what I was talking about, even if you never read the rest. Some people are going to see you where they want to see you. Beautiful picture, you and your kids. Oh, that's so beautiful. Happy birthday. And only a few people are going to really see where
Mhm.
you are. And so sometimes it's like, people are like, well, have you tried telling the story? You just make it so easy. People are going to see you where they want to see you.
That's it.
Everybody that wants to know that story, they get that story. There are some people that have front row seats and backstage passes to this story, and they still are only going to see what they want to see. But there's a point. That's where that puzzle piece come in. The story is not for everybody. There's
It's
some
not
people
for
that
everybody to get. It's not for everybody to connect
absolutely,
with. Right.
absolutely. But that moment, I was just like, man, wow! It's not that you're not vulnerable. It's not that you're not. It's not that people are going to see you where they want to see you.
Right.
So yeah.
So, your future vision. What is your vision for future entrepreneurs? And what does that journey look like for you? There's a whole generation of entrepreneurs rising up, and they're learning and they're craving the knowledge. What is your vision for it?
My future vision for entrepreneurs is a little narrow focus, and it comes back to generational curses.
Mhm.
We grew up um, in an area, in a demographic group that we don't do business the right way. And we don't educate ourselves in a way that it can be done, right? And so, for instance, it's like, oh, if someone opens a restaurant, then all of a sudden it's a restaurant, a beauty supply store, and a chicken shack, and all in one. And those are 5 different businesses. And
Mhm.
it's like,
Yeah.
how is it in one, right? And so for me, my corporate clients pays the bills, but I give back to the I always say the minorities, right? And all of them, not just Black people, that didn't have the privilege of calling up the buddy to say, "Hey, I'm gonna start a business." And they're like, "Oh, I can do this for you and I can do whatever." Teaching them not only how to run the business, but I always say poverty is a mindset, not an income level. And when we change the way we think, we change the way we earn. And if we're going to choose to run a business, what is the right way to run a business? Structure, becoming a real business, understanding when one business is now 2 different businesses. Also, just learning how to have the right resources, the art of investing in yourselves. We are really good at investing in things that we see value in, like where we come from, a pair of Jordans, like prioritizing that over rent,
Right.
that type of thing, right? And so for me, I spend a lot of time educating that if you have a vision and you wanna do something, let's figure out how to do it the right way. Removing that hustle and poverty mentality and knowing that hustle and grind is 2 different things, and so for me, being able to create a space where it's not about the inequity of, like, what hand you may have been dealt or what resources that you may have, but changing the mindset of understanding how business is done, maturing us into being able to support and build some businesses so that you can become a support to other businesses, right? It's great when I don't like being the only person that someone can reach out to because they're an old friend from my past and they see me on Facebook and they're like, "Well, how are you running a business?" Like, I wish that it was more of us,
Yeah.
in our group that understood it. And I get that I have been corporateized and I chose to kind of learn in that space, but I went to learn the secrets to bring it back to you
That's
all so that I can tell you the part that we're missing so that you can flourish in your gift. And so for me, that's what success looks like. Changing the narrative and the mindset around those minority owned entrepreneur groups, right? And so teaching them, when I say teaching them how to play big, right? And it's like we got to show up different when we want corporate contracts, right? S- So what you're a B2C person, right? But just we can show up different and still be our authentic selves. And we miss that. We weren't privy to that. That's not how we grew up, and it wasn't designed for us. And if you ever talk to someone that had a privilege that we didn't, it's like, oh, when I opened this business, I went and I just called my buddy up. I told him we were going to do this. So and so gave us a couple $1,000s, and maybe no one gave them money, right? But they certainly had the
Or
intellectual group, of people that were able to give something. And we also have this mentality of like, when we do know how to do something, we don't want to help anyone. We don't want to tell them because it's like, well, like then they're going to be doing that. Like, no, you know what? If I can tell you something that will make you greater in what it is that you're doing, my only charge to you is tell somebody else.
pass on the knowledge. Yeah.
Tell someone else, right? And if I can help reshape that 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 mindset, and just, it's not about the income level or the amount of savings that you have. Like, it's really getting that business knowledge, and that's a humbleness for some of us, and then also just awareness for others. Yeah.
I love that. That's the truth, passing down the knowledge and not being afraid that if you give somebody the knowledge or the information that you're losing anything. You're not missing out on anything.
It doesn't take anything from me in order to
Right?
build you up. Yeah.
That's what we need to do in our generation. As you know, I will say Black people, we need to learn to build
Mhm.
each other up and feel good doing it too. So
Absolutely.
do you have any upcoming events, speaking engagements that we can look out for? Your book, where can we get that book?
Yes. So I actually have Faith is the Formula, Unlocking the Power of Faith in Entrepreneurship, as well as the Ultimate Business Startup Guide. Both are on Amazon.com and BarnesandNoble.com. So you're able to order them there. Do I have any upcoming events? Am I missing anything? I'm working on a couple. I just had one where I did a panel for teen. I emceed an event for teen moms. So there's things that I do as a business, and there's things that I do as a person. And so that was kind of like my person and passion thing of giving back. But I will have some events coming up soon because Women's History Month is upon us. And so my PR person will be booking some things pretty soon for me. And then we have a couple of workshops. I think I'm going to be doing our first cohort this year for entrepreneurs, like startup businesses at a very affordable price, but for them to come and kind of get the knowledge piece that they're missing on how to run their business now. It's not about stopping what they're doing, but it's about learning how to run with what they're doing by giving them the knowledge, the tools, and really helping to grow them. So this year in 2025, it will be the first time that we will launch a cohort for that. So that's coming soon. Other than that, I'm just kind of serving clients, and we're building the 2025 speaking engagement list. So that's all.
Amazing. And how can people reach out to you, contact you? They want to hire you or just keep
Yeah.
up to date with what you got going on.
Absolutely. So on LinkedIn, you can always follow me on my personal LinkedIn, Tye Threats, or on my business page, I am WTV. I'm consulting across all social media platforms. So Instagram, Facebook, X, which I still always want to call Twitter, and on LinkedIn. I tend to post a lot of my speaking engagements on LinkedIn. I think we do highlights whenever I do small business things for Instagram. So if you're a small business owner and you're just like, how do I get started? What are the things that I do? You'll find most of the information and content is more on Instagram. You also can go to WTVconsulting.com. I always do free 30-minute consultations. So that is always a plus if you're just kind of like not sure what I need, or those types of things. We always start with a free consultation there. But yeah, that's where people can find me.
Awesome. And Tye, what is one message you could leave for any individual that's going through something in their life right now? A transition, still feeling burdened by this generational cycle they're trying to break. They feel stifled. Teen moms. Sometimes, you pass that teen mom stage, but unforgiveness is still floating around. What
Yeah.
encouragement can you give?
Trust the process. Um, Trust the process. And instead of saying, you know, I'm alone or people have left me or nobody understands me or any of those things, that is your indicator that you're on the right path. And greatness always comes out of, I always say when we're walking through valleys, a lot of times we're by ourselves, but that doesn't mean that we're intended to stay there. That may just be our journey to the next mountaintop. And so don't get so caught up on always wanting to be at that safe space or that mountaintop. Learn to embrace the journey and the valleys, because that is where resilience is built in the life lessons. And so I just always say, embrace the journey, right? And go through the process. And when you're alone, that's your time. Sometimes we're not strong enough to clear the space that we need in order to hear or think or evolve to who we're trying to be. And sometimes inevitably that's done for us. So instead of feeling that you're abandoned, just embrace the process and know that God, the universe, whoever will bring the right people in the path to sprinkle bits of what it is that you need, but go through the journey. Don't kick and fight through it. I mean, you're still going to make it through it even if you kick or fight, but embrace the journey. Just go through it. And I'll share this. I always said, I am tired of complaining and fighting through my challenges, all for it to work out. It's always something that happens, some break, something that happens, and you're fine. And I said to myself, I'm tired of arriving at where I'm supposed to be, worn out from fighting. Because then I start feeling guilty. Instead of enjoying the blessing and the breakthrough, I'm just like, oh man, if I would have known that I was going to
Yeah.
get here, I probably would have did a little bit different. And I started being committed to embracing the journey and going through it. I don't want to miss the lessons that I'm supposed to have when I'm in this journey because I know it's needed for something else. I know I'm going to get back to that mountaintop and that place of safety and just enjoying all the fruits of my labor, but I'm going to take another journey back down in order to go back up. And so I don't want to miss the lessons that I learned walking through there. And so anytime I feel that I'm in those spaces, and I always encourage people, you're on the right path and you're on your way to breaking a generational curse or creating a breakthrough in your life that you or your family or someone around you that you're connected to needed. And so be strong, embrace it, and go through it, because you're gonna have to go through it anyway, right? It's like
Yeah.
stop kicking and screaming and just commit to getting there without fighting.
I agree with you. I say the same thing as well. Embrace your journey.
Yeah,
Embrace it and feel it all. Because you're
yeah,
right. When everything happens and you're at that destination that God wanted to bring you to, you're angry with yourself.
yeah.
I don't
It's
even
like,
remember what that feeling was like when that moment happened. It was an experience, and I was angry throughout the whole process. So I
yeah,
agree with you.
yeah.
Tye, it was an absolute pleasure to have
Thank
you. Oh
you.
my gosh, girl. Guys, thank you so much for joining Tye Threats and me today. I hope that our fireside chat really connected with your spirit. I really hope that it ignited something in you. I really pray that it woke up something in you and it made you feel empowered, inspired that, your story is not end all be all. That is just the beginning. That's just a chapter. And there's so many different chapters for you to go through. I pray that you allow yourself to go through those seasons, go through those stages of healing, go through the process of releasing and talking about the things that have been burdening you. I feel like we have to always go back sometimes. When I say healing's a journey, I've been saying that, guys, from season 1, and we are in season 3, that, healing is not a destination, it's a continuous journey. Breaking generational cycles is a continuous journey. Generational cycles are not just trauma. It's not all just pain. Generational cycles can be breaking a financial stronghold that your family has gone through for years, and then it just automatically transferred onto you. Breaking generational cycles could just be the way that we communicate with each other, the way that we treat each other, the way that we, honor each other. Our relationships with our family members, whether it be our siblings, our parents, our grandparents, our children, our friends, our peers, the connections that we have. There could be a generation of the way that we handle certain situations in our life, our career paths that we choose. There could be a generational cycle why we chose to be a doctor, why we chose to be a lawyer, why we chose to be a janitor, why we chose to be a bus driver, why we chose to be, a clerker. There could be some generational history there that has us tied to the things that we do, the way that we operate, the way that we respond, the way that we treat our own self. And it's very important that we take that time out to go through the steps, figure out where that hold is, figure out what that generational cycle is, figure out what is in your bloodline. What is in your bloodline that keeps repeating? And figuring out if you're the one that's going to break it. And if you are, the battle is going to be rough. The battle is going to be tough. There are going to be so many things thrown at you. There are going to be people that are going to go against you. Many people may not agree with you. But understand that you have to stand out sometimes. You have to stand alone, and it could be very painful sometimes. But it's all worth it. It's so worth it. You need to stand in the gap and not be afraid to stand out and stand alone and be called crazy sometimes. So guys, please, I hope that you find the time. Reach out to Tye Threats. She can help with a lot of things, whether you're starting a business, whether you just need some inspiration, some coaching. Purchase her books. I think that it will bless you in so many ways and change your lives. Don't forget to hit the subscribe button. Leave a comment. I want to hear from you guys. Share with a friend, a family member, a loved one, a friend of a friend. Share with somebody. And join the WhatsApp group. I'm excited to pour into you guys. I'm excited to pray for you guys. I'm excited to transform with you guys. We have some exciting things coming out in 2025, and I don't want you guys to miss it. So you better hit the subscribe button. Subscribe, 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 guys. Until next time, I'm Jen Simpson, and thanks for tuning in to Life's Deceit.